Hello, my name is Emily Tyner, and my specific purpose statement is to inform my classmates of the pros and cons that come with aiding foreign bodies financially. So, back in the 1800s, during the time when the United States was first trying to figure out if it should aid foreign countries or if it should just keep its own money to itself, the Monroe Doctrine was released. And from this, President Roosevelt made the statement that, and I have it here on the screen, many times people who were slothful or timid or short sighted, who had been enervated by ease or by luxury or misled by false teachings, have shrunk in unmanly fashion from doing duty that was stern, that needed self sacrifice, have sought to hide from their own minds their shortcomings, their ignoble motives, by calling them love of peace. From the Roosevelt Corollary. So basically, this just means that people have turned doing good deeds for foreign people into something that was really not morally right, but by calling it a love for peace. So, was saying that the United States in 2017 gave a total of $34.7 billion in foreign aid to other nations. The leader in that amount was to Afghanistan at approximately a little over $1 million, and the least we gave was about $600 million to South Africa. So in saying this, in my speech, I plan to discuss both the pros and cons of foreign aid, to include why the United States should provide foreign aid to less fortunate nations, but also why the U.S. should possibly put that money towards fixing its own nation. So, to begin, I will be discussing the pros of foreign aid. So, the OECD Better Life Index stated that United States having a 67% job acquired by 25 to 64-year-olds, while South Africa only had 39% in this area. The United States had a 92% of its population from ages 25 to 64 that has access to secondary education, while South Africa only had a 48%. And the United States have a life expectancy of approximately 79 years old, while South Africa only had a life expectancy rate of 64 years old. With this stated, it is very clear that the United States should provide at least some foreign aid to those nations, because nations like South Africa have almost 10 or more years less of life expectancy. This meaning that they might not have access to medical care or clean water or enough food, or as right here, the crime rate in Africa is significantly higher than in like the US. It's a very, very big difference. So that is a reason why the United States should provide foreign aid to nations like this, just so we can help people that are in need. On the other hand, not necessarily a con, but in providing this foreign aid, one thing that is misinterpreted, in my opinion, is rather the United States giving aid to nations that abuse it. I don't think that a nation should be given foreign aid if they're just going to take it and abuse it and turn it into something else than what it's meant for. With that being stated, the United States also has a very, very large problem within its own nation as well. So, a question that could be proposed is, why should the United States be providing aid to other nations when we're struggling ourselves? So, in 2019, the Kaiser Family Foundation stated that 28.9 million, approximately 11% of Americans, were uninsured. So this means that almost 11% of our population did not have access to health care or insurance to pay for when they got sick, when a family member got sick, and they were unable to receive the proper medical attention that they needed to. And this, in 2019, obviously, this might have been a huge problem because in 2020 we had the pandemic happen. So, with that being stated, why do we give money and aid and all this kind of stuff to other nations when our own people are struggling? When we have homeless people on the streets who need a lot of attention from our government as well. And also, it would almost make more sense for us to fix our own nation so we're able to help other nations more adequately. If we have our problems fixed, we can help others more. In conclusion, the United States gives a lot of foreign aid to other nations, and it has its pros for sure. But there's also a point where we need to fix our own nation and figure out what we're doing wrong in that aspect. So hopefully I've given you something to think about as you've listened, and I hope you all have a great evening.